Here I am discussing about how to calculate number of sigma bond and pi bond. So first of all, what is sigma bond? So sigma bond means end-to-end overlapping between orbitals. SS orbital end-to-end overlapping then form sigma bond, or S or P orbital end-to-end overlapping then form sigma bond. Other bond is pi bond. So pi bond means sidewise overlapping between orbitals. So this is p orbital and here also p orbital. So p orbital form pi bond. So how to calculate number of sigma bond and pi bond? So in covalent bonding, three type of bond. One is single bond, other is double bond and triple bond. So single bond means one sigma bond. Double bond means one sigma and one pi bond. And for triple bond, one sigma and two pi bond. So we can calculate number of sigma bond and pi bond to calculation of single bond, double bond and triple bond. If we are given single bond, then this have only one sigma bond. If given double bond between carbon, then this is one sigma and one pi bond. And for triple bond, one sigma and two pi bond. So easily we can calculate number of sigma bond and pi bond. For given ethene, CH2 double bond CH2. So for given this ethene, this carbon have three sigma bond. One sigma between carbon and hydrogen, other also between carbon and hydrogen, and third sigma between carbon and carbon. So this carbon have three sigma bond. Same for this carbon. So carbon have one pi and three sigma bond like this. For given ethine, ethine have one sigma bond. This is ethine. Ethine have one sigma bond with carbon atom and other sigma bond with this atom. So here each carbon have one sigma and two pi bond. If given benzene, in this case, benzene have each carbon have one pi bond. Each carbon have one pi bond. This carbon have one pi bond and have three sigma bond. Two sigma bond between carbon like this. So this is sigma bond with carbon, this is sigma bond with carbon, and this sigma bond with hydrogen. So in the case of benzene, total number of sigma bond 12 and total number of pi bond 3. Simple is single bond between carbon or single bond between carbon and hydrogen. They have one sigma bond. Count one sigma bond. And if given carbon carbon double bond, then here is one sigma bond and one pi bond. And if given triple bond between carbon, then here is one sigma bond and two pi bond. So easily we can calculate total number of sigma bond and pi bond. Here question given: how many sigma bond and pi bond are in the molecule of cyclopropane? This is cyclopropane and here is cyclopropene. So this is sigma bond because this is single bond, this is sigma bond because of single bond, and this is also sigma bond. So this have, and this is pi bond. So this have one pi bond. Here is one pi bond. Total number of sigma bonds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So this have one sigma bond and one pi bond. In this case, how many sigma and pi bond are present in the molecule of isoprene? आइसोप्रीन पॉलीमर में गिवन है आइसोप्रीन. So here calculate number of sigma and pi bond. So first of all we can calculate number of sigma bond. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So this have 12 sigma. Now calculate number of pi bond to total number of double bond 2. So each double bond have one pi bond, then two double bond have two pi bond. So here is 12 sigma bond and 2 pi bond. So this is correct option. Now second thing is, if carbon have 4 sigma bond, if carbon have 4 sigma bond, then this have sp3 hybridization. which have 109.5 degree bond angle here given. Now, if carbon have 3 sigma bond, then this have hybridization sp2, which have bond angle 120 degree, and if carbon have 2 sigma bond, then this have hybridization sp, which have bond angle 180 degree. So simple is कि carbon have 4 sigma bond, then have hybridization sp3, carbon have double bond around, then sp2, and carbon have triple bond, then sp hybridization. Simply carbon carbon single bond or carbon hydrogen single bond all have sp3 hybridization. Carbon have double bond around, then this have sp2 hybridization, and if carbon have triple bond around, then this have sp hybridization. In this given example, this carbon have only sigma bond around, then this have sp hybridization. For these carbon both have double bond around, then this have sp2 hybridization. This carbon set of carbon have triple bond around, then this have sp hybridization. So simple is carbon have only single bond around, then this have sp3 hybridization. If carbon have double bond around, then this have sp2 hybridization, and if carbon have triple bond around, then this have sp hybridization. So we can easily calculate number of sigma bond and pi bond and then convert into hybridizations sp3, sp2, and sp hybridization. Suppose here given another example. This is cyclopropene. So here find hybridization of each carbon. So this carbon have 4 sigma bond. This and this with carbon, and remaining 2 with hydrogen. So this carbon have 4 sigma bond. So this have hybridization sp3. This carbon have 2 sigma bond with carbon, 1 sigma bond with hydrogen. So this have 3 sigma bond. This carbon have 3 sigma bond. So this have hybridization sp2. For this carbon, this also have 3 sigma bond, 2 sigma bond with carbon, and third sigma bond with hydrogen. So this also have 3 sigma bond. Then this have hybridization sp2. So simple is single bond around carbon, then sp3 hybridization, double bond around carbon, then sp2 hybridization, and triple bond around carbon, then have sp hybridization. Here given example, acetic acid. So open structure of acetic acid is like this: methyl, and this is carboxylic group. So here find hybridization of each carbon. So first of all, this carbon have only sigma bond, only single bond around. Then this have sp3 hybridization. For this carbon have double bond around. See, double bond are around में, then this have sp2 hybridization. If we have next example, which is acetaldehyde CH3CHO, this is acetaldehyde. So open structure of acetaldehyde is this. So first of all, this carbon have only single bond around. So this have sp3 hybridization. This carbon have double bond around. Then this is sp2 hybridized. In the case of benzene, each carbon have double bond around. Then in the case of benzene, each carbon have double bond around. Then each carbon sp2 hybridized. Each carbon have sp2 hybridization. In the case of benzene, each carbon sp2 hybridized.